is the press release?
This is about this event. It's against the Keystone XL pipeline. It's a rally to stop the State Department's approval of it. It's a serious threat to the climate.
How so?
Well, if you burn it, it's a pipeline that's going to be built to transport tar sands oil from Alberta in Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. And it's some of the dirtiest oil in the world, and it's a massive deposit of it. So
what's going to happen if we don't bring this pipeline?
You open it up to market, it'll all be burnt, and it'll be, I mean, there's almost no way to stop catastrophic climate change.
How so? How so?
I mean, it's incredibly dirty, and it's a huge deposit. So it's basically opening a new market that guarantees that that oil will be burnt and will release an incredible amount of carbon that'll make it impossible.
I have two questions, if you may ask.
Sure, of course.
Question number one, if we in the United States start getting the reliable supplies of oil from a reliable partner, which is Canada, as opposed to the Middle East, what are the Canadians going to do with this oil?
Well,
if we don't buy it, what's going to happen?
A lot of internal studies within the Canadian government and by some of the major oil companies and the refineries on the Gulf Coast, they estimate that, or they're guessing that if this oil can't be brought down to the Gulf, any other route is too unprofitable. I mean, it's too hard to transport. They say that they're going to take it by train, but that's far too expensive to actually do. So this is the cheapest and most economical way to get this oil to market. And so if we stop it, it'll be far too expensive, and it'll be very hard to exploit that oil.
Well, the Chinese are ready to buy this oil, aren't they?
They are, but it's very hard to get it.
There's no independent.
Why so? They can build the same pipeline to one of their coasts and
that's the
ship it by.
Part, because if they build it down the center of the U.S., that's mostly flat plains. If they build it over the Canadian Rockies, it's an incredibly expensive project, right? That's why they haven't already done it. If they could do it without sending it through an entire other country, I think they would have done it already.
But you know,
this is by far the cheapest way.
But the price, well, of course, and we need oil.
Well, I don't think we do. I think we have alternatives.
You don't think we don't need oil? Are you serious?
We do need to keep it as...
We don't need oil?
We need oil, but we need to wean ourselves off of it. And
how so?
Opening new markets.
How can you wean yourself? I mean, I'm always baffled with this kind of statement. How can you wean yourself off oil? And do what?
Well, I mean, there are alternative sources of energy.
Like what?
Well, Germany just instituted a plan to wean themselves off of carbon fuels, and they're on track to do it. So it's not impossible.
You know what the sand reminds me of?
Well, at this point in the year 2013, speaking of profitability, it is impossible. And by the way,
we're talking about sustainability. That's our goal.
That's our goal. Okay, then let me ask another question, if I may.
Sure.
And the question is, you're afraid that the CO2 causes global warming, right?
Well, it does.
Okay, let me ask you this. Explain this phenomenon. During the past, I would say 30 years or so, 20 years, the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, by the way, do you know the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere?
It's around 400 parts per million.
Okay. So what was it?
Just past that.
Okay. So it was about 300 some, 15, 20 years ago, right?
Right. And you want to know why the Earth hasn't warmed.
Correct.
Exactly.
So why hasn't it warmed?
The oceans were the first sink for that kind of heat. And if you read the scientific analyses of this, they're very clear. And the Earth has warmed slightly. It's warmed about 1 degree. That's why we have more extreme storms than ever. I mean, the science about this is not... It's not
certain.
No, it's not contested.
No, it's not certain.
I don't need to talk to you about this, because if you're just going to take my time doubting a scientific consensus, no,
I can't doubt it. So you're saying,
doubt it, but you're wrong. I mean,
what makes you think that you're right and I'm wrong?
The entire scientific consensus.
What's the entire scientific?
What about putting more carbon in the atmosphere?
The entire scientific consensus 30 years ago, 40 years ago was saying or warning us that it was a global ice age. It didn't happen. The so-called entire scientific community, which is not, was saying that the polar ice is going to melt. What happened to it?
Are we burning more carbon than ever?
So what?
Are we, though?
More carbon? Yeah, yes. So what?
And is carbon a heat-trapping gas?
I'm not sure about that, number one. Number two,
you can prove that carbon is a heat-trapping gas with like a simple experiment
how?
that a fourth grader can
Fine.
do.
So if that's
So
the
we're
case,
burning more of it, it's in the atmosphere, and it's keeping the heat.
If that's the case, how can you have no explanation then as to why, even though the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere has increased by about 30% in the past 15 years, temperature hasn't budged?
It has budged. And
It hasn't.
also the
It
temperature
hasn't.
of the ocean has
It
budged
hasn't.
as well.
It
The ocean
hasn't.
is the first sink for that heat.
Let me ask another
I don't want to
question.
talk to you.
All right, all right.
Let's attack George. Let's attack George.
So, anyway,
So you're gonna warn everybody not to talk to me?
Yeah, I am. Because
Okay.
you don't listen to anyone.
Okay, all right. So much to the freedom of expression. Welcome to America. Unbelievable. Carbon bomb, that's quite a statement. You just said that it does, and now you're saying it doesn't.
Guys, please, just go away.
I don't want to go. What do you mean
Please
go
just
away?
go, because
Why?
you're not-
Why?
you're
Why
not
should I go
doing
away?
anything.
I'm asking questions. So I cannot ask questions?
You
that
can
you're
ask
saying?
questions, but I
So
don't want to be on camera.
okay, you don't have to. You
Okay.
can go away if you want to. It's my choice to be where I am, right?
Yeah.
It's a free country. I came from Russia
country.
originally.
Yeah.
You know, I would expect something like that happening, you know, in the USSR, the KGB encircling you, carrying you away, shipping you to gulags in
But I don't
Siberia.
see anyone
This
doing
is
that.
exactly. So why is this gentleman telling me that I should go away? What do you think?
Because you're not making any sense, for one thing.
Agree with me that we need oil, right?
well, to a limited extent. I mean, at a certain point, we need to move on. I mean, oil is not, unlimited. It's going to, deplete.
true.
And if we don't start,
that's true.
You shouldn't talk to this guy. He's an online troll. He's just going to post this on his website that 10 people look at every month.
no, I know, it's the socialist guy.
No, he's
the
not.
Occupy protest.
He's
I
right.
remember him.
He's not a socialist.
No, I remember him
I'm a
from the video.
socialist.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Oh, you're a socialist, really?
I am a socialist.
Oh.
He has a website. 10 people look at it. Just don't talk to him. He's going to edit your video. He's an online troll.
I'll give you the link. You'll see there will be no cuts. How about that? Do you want to talk to me?
Well, I
are
know
you
who
afraid
you
to
are.
talk?
I know
Oh,
who you
good. So you don't mind talking to me, right?
No, I don't mind talking.
I mean, this is America, troll. You have I came from Russia. So in Russia, all these protests would have been impossible. Period. Full stop.
yeah.
Okay. So in America, you have an opinion. I have an opinion. Why? I mean, why would you be afraid to talk to me? I mean, what? But see, if you come to me and I do participate in some protests or whatever you call it. If you come to me and ask me questions, I'll be more than happy to convince you. Maybe I will be able to convince you. Maybe you'll switch sides. Maybe you'll come to my side, assuming that we're on different sides, right? But we're on the same side. We're on the same planet. I mean, we as humans should come to a certain consensus, right? After all, what you're protesting is something that, according to you, affects everybody, the whole planet, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we can discuss that because it affects you, it affects me, it affects every human being. Well, animals too, right? We love
Oh
animals.
yeah, everything. The whole planet.